Welcome to week 3 of the QUT Design Lab series of videos supporting our program based on Wendy Laura Belcher's second edition of Writing Your Journal Article in 12 Weeks. I acknowledge the Turrbal and Yagara peoples as the traditional custodians of the unceded lands in Meanjin, where I'm recording this, and I recognise that these lands and waterways have always been places of teaching, learning, research, creativity, storytelling, and arts. I'm your writing wellbeing coach, Dr. Abby Winter. Last week, we talked about the importance of your argument. This week, we're going to talk about the abstract for your piece of writing. But first, as always, a bit of reflection. What's working for you? What's not? Is the time you're blocking working for your attention span or your ultradian rhythm? Circadian rhythm is day to night stuff. Ultradian rhythm is slightly different for each of us, but basically, we can work for about 90 minutes before we need a 20 to 30 minute break before doing something else to refresh the brain. Do you know when you're most productive? When your brain fires best? Are you a morning person? Do you need all day to do mundane things and then your brain sparks when the sun goes down or the moon comes up? Do you need distractions or complete quiet to work? Helen Sword did a study of about 100 productive academic writers a few years ago and found that everyone had something that worked for them, but that they were all different. Wendy Belcher starts chapter 3 talking about sharing your work with others. Basically, this week, we're going to be moving from the argument that you were at last week to the abstract for your article, because as she says on page 92, the abstract describes your article's topic and argument. On page 93, she lists the ingredients of a good abstract. It's a summary, not an introduction. It's a self-contained story about the puzzle or problem that your article addresses. It's an argument and a claim for significance. Larry McHenry, the former director of the University of Chicago's Writing Center, describes it as value. It's about, as Pat Thompson in one of her Patter posts says, enriching the reader's understanding of the problem and making them want to read on. And that was in this one. It has to reveal your most important findings. Like I've said before, it's not a mystery novel. It should talk about your methods in a single sentence. An abstract is written with strong verbs, argues, demonstrates, not just explores or examines. Bloom's taxonomy is great as it gives a hierarchy of verbs, and you want to be aiming at the top of the pyramid, not the bottom, or at steps 4, 5, and 6 in the revised taxonomy. Words around analyze, evaluate, and create. Your abstract has to contain keywords because everyone wants their article to be findable in a search, right? It has to make sense all on its own, and it has to report on the past. It's about what you did, not what you're hoping to do next. Belcher then goes on to talk about the two basically different types of abstract. Structured, where you follow the guidelines set by the journal, or unstructured, where you're just given a word count and have to figure out what goes in there for yourself, which most of us do by copying others in the journal as a sort of template. You'll see that a lot of these 12 weeks are about sneakily building your skills in revising and in sharing your work much sooner than you otherwise might. Because the best time to get feedback is early. My husband has a horrendous story from back when dinosaurs roamed and about taking a completed Year 8 assignment down to show his father one night before he went to bed. And his dad misunderstood and took out a red pen and started marking up changes. That 11-year-old version of my now husband just about burst into tears at the thought of having to rewrite the whole thing that night because, as I said, we're dinosaurs. And this was all in the days before computers, let alone home printers. So the moral of the story is early feedback is way better than final version feedback. Now, the big part of your homework for this week was to find 10 recently published abstracts. Take a moment to think about them if you have found them. Are there commonalities there? Do they start or end the same way? Do you see any strengths or weaknesses in them? Are there similarities in language? What about layout? Is the argument clear? Do they tell you a convincing story about their research? Do they make you want to read the whole article? Do they give you any ideas for changing your own draft abstract? You're going to keep working on your abstract on and off until you submit the article. But usefully, on pages 102 to 103, Belcher has a checklist for what a good abstract should include. When you feel like your abstract is in a pretty good shape, use the checklist to see if there's anything else you can do to it before you share it with others to get their feedback. Now, the other part of your homework was to find a good recent article, because trends in what's considered good change over time. It may be the one that you found in week 1, or it may be a different one. This article is going to help be your model or template for your article, because why reinvent wheels when they're just sitting there waiting for you to come along and use them? As this one says, take a moment, write down the things that you've learned from this good article that you found. These could be things that you want to copy or things you want to avoid doing. It might be about how it's structured, or about how it presents its argument or evidence, or anything else that has struck you. There's also an optional assignment. It'll help your writing immeasurably if you review 5 years of one journal you're interested in. That is, reading all the titles, most of the abstracts, and at least 4 articles. If you do this, it transforms your writing. And there's a lovely offer from Wendy Belcher, which I'll read out to you. If you want, write up what you found in the style of the reviews of academic journals' website I post, and you can send them to me and I will post them. This is of service to others. See https://journalreviews.princeton.edu. The easiest way to do this is to use the Google form I created, and she gives you the link to the form. It standardizes the information that you would need to provide, including a 1-sentence review of journal that starts, for those interested in publishing articles that, ... A longer review of journal, 100 to 500 words, put all material directly from the publisher's website in quotation marks. It's better to use your own words. And useful for submission facts, including issues per year, current volume number in year, articles per year, article word count, citation or documentation style, abstract length if required, upcoming special issues if available, journal publisher, for example, Duke University Press, Sage Publications, relevant editors, is it open access, is it online, is association membership required, what's the website? Finally, as we always do, please open up your calendar and plan your writing for next week. Next week, we're going to talk about how to pick the right journal for your article. In the meantime, your homework is to have a look at week 4 and do her tasks on searching for and studying journals. Fill in her journal evaluation report on at least one journal. If you're doing this through the QUT Design Lab, email through your top 3 journal choices and your abstract when you're happy with it. And of course, track your writing time. I'll see you next time.